Time now is 11:01 a.m. in the morning on January 26th. 27th. Fuck, okay. I slept from 4:20 to 11. I did go to bed at 4, but like there's some noise outside. My roommate Quentin suddenly went downstairs and did some stuff, so didn't fall asleep and used my phone instead. But yeah, it's not bad. 6.5-ish hours is really not bad at all. But yeah, if I could sleep more than that, I would. But yeah, last night I was watching The Flavor of Green Tea Over Rice, and I kept falling asleep. So I need to finish this film today, this morning. So I'm gonna try to do that. And I also have one anime review I want to film before I leave and go to class. So, yeah, got a bit of stuff to do this morning. And then we have the RIT 340. I go home, and then we have the 290 class. Oh my god. I just finished 290 shoot yesterday. Now I have the 290 class. Yeah, and that's pretty much it for today. I also had a 3.5 hour long call with Michelle last night, where I basically just updated her with everything that happened to me in the last 2 months. Yeah, so much is going on. So much happened. Yeah, I don't have a lot else to say. Maybe I should ask Giant to hang out before this month ends. Maybe I should give myself a deadline. But then also, no, maybe I shouldn't. I don't know. Let's go with the flow. In situations like this, let's go with the flow. And, yeah. I need to return the lamp and the calendar to Christian R tonight, so I'll be seeing him again. And yeah, next week is probably going to be interesting as well, because of all the SCA SDA mixer and or by next week I mean this week, the SCA SDA mixer, Asian Pacific Islander Film Festival, and maybe I'm going to my mom's friend's place for hot pot, and I don't know, some stuff is bound to happen. So yeah. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah. I had a dream, but then again, it's like I immediately forgot what happened. But it was a nice dream. Like something nice happened. Or at least it was clean. I dreamed that it was 4 p.m. and I still haven't had breakfast, which is so true. And my dad's there, and my dad immediately gave me a bun or a bread. Yeah.
This is an archaic, I wish this weren't the case, but this is the case. All the exterior doors are locked 20. So it seems like it worked for most people, or for everybody actually. So now that the drive is formatted, for those that are like on hard drive, you go to that option and you click there, okay? Again, you want to eject it before you actually remove it, alright? Oh, it's currently in use. I think mine is still popular. So you want to mount the volumes. If it asks you, just click mount all volumes, alright? It usually asks that question when it finds more than one hard drive, okay?
Okay, it's 9:54. Yeah, today's a heavy load. This morning, woke up. I slept for, I think, 6.5 hours, which is supposedly okay. Like, 4 hours or less is bad. Between 4 and 7 is okay, and then 7 or more is good. So 6.5 should be in okay territory, but I still feel very fucking sleepy and tired. I think it's just the sleepiness of the last few days accumulating. So yeah, it's really bad. I hope I go to bed hella early tonight. But yeah, I woke up and I very quickly finished watching The Flavor of Green Tea Over Rice. And then I filmed my my Dungeon Meshi anime review video, and then it's like, yeah, I have to go. So I missed a bus, so I walked to school, and after walking to school, I had extra time. So by extra time I mean like 2 minutes, so it's nothing. I went to GSF, I went to RIT 340, and took the class. I really like that we did nothing. And for the next couple of weeks, we're going to do nothing because it's a very, very lightweight class. And, yeah, we're just going to be talking and chatting. We're going to look at other people's writing. We'll be analyzing it. We'll be talking. We'll be chatting. And that's it. That's the whole class. And I really like that. I really like that we did nothing. And then in the second half of the class, the professor's like, yeah, we don't, like, now let's just talk. We can talk about your papers, what you have. So for our first paper, it's called the How essay. Essentially, in the essay, you need to learn how you learned about a truth about your art. So for me, my art is filmmaking. And a truth about filmmaking is that films are an extension of my soul. And so how did I find out about that? And how did I deal with that? And it's still, my idea for the paper is still in its early stage. And it's also like, it's personal. So I'm going to talk about personal things. It's going to be embarrassing. And then the professor's like, Enoch, do you want to start? Or like, Enoch? And I'm like, me? And he's like, yeah. So I was forced to basically tell my entire class what my paper idea is. But I'm fine with it because I think I'm already, like, on YouTube or in my short films, I already expose some of my deepest vulnerabilities. So I'm okay with sharing my personal stuff with the world. It's just that I don't want to do it unprompted. But it was okay today, so I shared my idea. I was like, oh, I'm just gonna write about film and how film is personal and it's an extension of my soul. And then I said, oh, but it feels vague. I don't know how to like write on it. I don't know what to write about. It's a very intangible thing. And then the professor's like, no, I don't think so. In fact, just from hearing what you've said, I already hear multiple ideas. I already know what your thesis statement is, and I know what you're going to write about. You're going to write about before and after. Before, like, maybe you're scared to get personal, and then there's after. You're finally comfortable with it. And then, I mentioned, oh, yeah, I think it's going to be a two-parter, because there's production, like me being scared of being personal in front of my actors, and then, asking my actors to do things. And then there's me screening, because I screened a short film at a USC Film Festival. And then when I said that,
the girl who's sitting a little bit in front of me, a girl with red hair and piercing, turned around and asked me, a white girl, she turned around and asked me, "Is that Camps Fest?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And she's like, "I saw your short film. Which one is it?" And I'm like, "Oh, the one at the end, the one that's like really long and slow and confusing." And she's like, "Oh yeah, this is the one inspired by Wong Kar-wai." And then the professor's like, "Oh wait, so now there's more information. So it's about Wong Kar-wai or is it about you?" And I'm like, "Oh no, it's more me than Wong Kar-wai, of course." In fact, I don't like it when people compare me to Wong Kar-wai that much because it's like people are like, "Oh, you're like Wong Kar-wai," and I'm like, "I'm not like him. I'm like me." And then professor's like, "Oh, so you have like ideas for 4 papers now?" And I'm like, "Okay." So that was intriguing, and then everyone shared their own, but nobody's ideas are like as as or like most of their ideas aren't deep as mine, and I don't mean it in a way I'm like, I'm a deep writer. It's more just it's complicated for me because I can't pick one incident in my life where I learn about my art and myself. I have so many incidents and I have so many things and ideas. And I learn about film and how it's personal. I learn about filmmaking and how it's a team sport. I learn about this, learn about that. So much is going on. So yeah. Anyways. After class, I walked up to the girl. Her name is Portia. Not to be confused with another Portia who's taking 290 with me, even though they look similar. But one has red hair and one is blonde. This Portia, I walked up to her and we talked a little bit. At first, she was just gonna walk away, but I was like, "Hey, so you saw my short film?" And she's like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "Oh, that's interesting." So she's also Cam, she's also junior, and she volunteered for Cam's Fest last year. And I asked her if she does filmmaking. She's like, "Yeah, I make video art, like, digital video art and performance art videos." And I'm like, "Oh, that's very interesting." And I was like, "Oh, there's this person, his name is Matt." And she's like, "Yeah, I know Matt. We took 290 together." And I'm like, "Oh, small world." And she's like, "Yeah, nice to meet you." She went to the bookstore and I went back home. So I took a bus back home really fast. And, yeah, okay, someone's texting me. Okay, so I quickly came back home and I had about, I have about 2 hours and 15 minutes to basically have lunch and figure out what the fuck am I gonna do for editing lab today. Yeah, because the thing is, today's 290 class is going to be at the editing lab, at the dungeon, at the post dungeon of SCA, the post production dungeon. And I need a clean hard drive with nothing in it. The thing is, I have 4 hard drives with me right now. I have these 2, which are the 2 main ones I use. This one is the most important one. 4 terabytes, has my entire life on it. This one is super important as well because it has my 2 recent short films and also a bunch of stuff. I have my hard drive my mom gave me, which is small, and then I have another one, which is in my backpack right now, which my mom gave me, and is from her company, and has 2 terabytes worth of videos on it. So none of them are clear. So I thought I should just start copying files then. And then I realized, holy shit, I can't because it's going to take forever, and my class is going to start in 2 hours. So, I opened the hard drive my mom gave me, and there are a lot of files in it. And I remember, because I've seen these files before. All the way back in August last year, I tried to copy a bunch of files from my parents' computer back in Hong Kong to my hard drive, this one. But I couldn't copy them all because it was literally the morning of my flight, or like the night before, and I ran out of time. So I thought maybe I should go back to Hong Kong and copy it. But last Christmas, I believe, or I think, yeah, last Christmas? No, also summer? Anyways, at some point my mom gave me the hard drive, and For months, I did not check on it because I'm just lazy like that. Today I checked and I could open none of those files. All the files are there, and you could see that they're not 0 terabytes. They're not 0 MB or 0 KB or whatever. They actually have stuff inside, but I could open none of the files. And it's either because they're all corrupted or it's because of some like firewall issue. So I talked to my mom immediately, and my mom said my mom has zero clue. My mom has no idea where these files are. The thing is, these files only exist because a huge storage drive that had everything in it, from my photos to my mom's photos and videos to everyone's files and whatever, suddenly died. And for months, my mom tried to find someone to recover it. She spent hundreds of dollars to recover it, and finally it's recovered, but it's basically a mix mash of everyone's files in that hard drive, but recategorized to this is all the JPEG, this is all the MP4s, this is all the MOV files, this is all the whatevers. And somehow, for some reason, something went wrong and these files are gone again. Like, my mom recovered them and then they're gone again. Or maybe that didn't happen. Maybe I have it confused with something else. But somehow they're not there again. And somehow my mom doesn't have these files again. So I asked my mom, is this hard drive the only hard drive where all these files are at? Or are these files like duplicates? So I could go back to Hong Kong and I could keep copying. And my mom's like, I don't know. These are not duplicates. Like, I moved files from this drive to that drive. And I'm like, that's not how it works. Whenever you move something in a computer, it always makes a copy. Unless you delete everything. Which, why would you? So I had no choice. I just used this drive and I formatted it. So everything's fucking gone. But it's okay, I guess. Because, okay, my hair is literally going insane right now, by the way. My hair... Okay. Hold on. Give me a moment, guys. Give me a juicy, delicious, precious... Much better. What was I saying? For months straight, I did not check on that hard drive because I really didn't have the need to. I probably just formatted tons of videos of my childhood and like screenshots from my old phones. But honestly, I feel like I already copied most of it to my own drive before I left. Also, I tried everything. I tried copying the files from that drive to my own laptop and then open it from my own laptop, but that doesn't work either. It's still corrupt. So regardless, I still can't open it. So I think no matter what I do, it's still not going to work. It's still not going to mean anything. So yeah, so I formatted it. I'm sorry, I just deleted everything. So RIP. So I did all that jazz, and I don't have the time to change my clothes and, you know, wash up and then make lunch and everything. So I directly make lunch, and I don't really know what to eat for lunch. So I'm like, well, I have one sausage left, I have some eggs, I have some bread. So I made sausage, scrambled eggs, 2 butter toast, and I know I already had lettuce yesterday. I genuinely don't know what else to eat for veg, but I need some veg. So I got more lettuce, and damn, that was a good lunch. Damn, that was good. If I'm giving myself a present every day, that was the present. I don't know why. The butter scrambled eggs just taste so good. And I cooked it up with like perfection. It's because I cooked it so many times. I cracked 2 eggs. I whipped it up. Butter in the pan, heat it up, pour it, and then before it consolidates, I, you know, scrub it with the spatula. Forms this nice wavy texture, silky smooth, just a perfect amount of seasoning, a little salt, pepper, and paprika, and amazing. I was quite happy. And then immediately after that, I walked to school again to CTPR 290. Um, and I ran into Bella, the Shanghai woman. I was getting into an elevator and she saw me. She's like, "Hey," and then I'm already gone. And then I went to third floor and I sat on a couch and drew, listened to music, which is nice. And then I went downstairs to the editing lab and I saw Tina, the girl in my trio. She talked to me a little bit and then we went to the editing lab and sat next to Ryan again. And then a while later, Rachel shows up, but Rachel's late for like a whole hour, of course, in true Rachel fashion. And today's class is so silly. So the teacher, the TA, taught us how to plug a drive safely into a computer, and then taught us how to format it, and taught us how to create a new project in Avid. And yeah, I've never used Avid before, but like we spent 3 hours today discussing how to create new project and how to import videos. And that's the whole thing today. It's hilarious. So obviously I was really bored and I fell asleep in the latter half, like after break. But yeah, I during break I called Christian R, and Christian R showed up, and I had his table lamp and his wall calendar with me. And I gave it back to him, and then we talked a little bit. Pretty nice, pretty nice. I like that Christian R randomly became one of my closest friends in USC. Like, out of nowhere. Like, you can't really plan these things. You can't be like, "Ooh, I want to be friends with that person," and then we somehow become close friends. Like, it all just happens by chance. Like, if I and Colin end up on the same film set together and we talk a lot, maybe that would change everything. But that didn't happen. But yeah, Christian R is like talking to me and, you know, he's like, "How did the shoot go? And what's this class?" And then he talked about the LMU shoot. I told him that Maisie is having a shoot thing going on. And he's like, "Oh, that's interesting. Let me know." So a lot of moving parts, a lot of bits and pieces. And yeah. And then suddenly Calyx, the Asian guy, showed up. And he's like, "You're..." And then he's like, "I'm Christian." And then he's like, "You're Enoch." And I'm like, "Yes." And he's like, "You know where the Restart Theater is?" And I'm like, "Oh, over there, turn left." And he's like, "Okay." Because he's going to watch the bear with Q&A. But I can't because I have class. Who cares? But yeah, that's cool. And I stole some water from Coffee Bean and I returned to the editing lab. And yeah. Yeah. I'm really curious, what is Cheyenne gonna film about? Like, she's like kind of behind me and I'm like trying to take a look, you know? But yeah, she just gives off that like, and she's probably younger than me too. She gives off that like, that high and mighty aura. Like, she's nice, but she gives off like high and mighty aura, you know, princess aura, queen aura. But yeah, afterwards I and Rachel, we left, and yeah, I took free Lyft. On my way to Trader Joe's, I ran into this guy who was in my RIT 340, who briefly spoke to me today. He was talking to another girl beside me, and then he saw me and he's like, "What's your name?" And I'm like, "I'm Enoch." And he's like, "Oh, I'm Camden," I think that's his name. And he's like, "Oh." And I'm like, "Hi." And then we stood beside Target and talked for like 10 minutes. Like basic stuff, like what's your major. But we're all art people. So he's like, "Okay, let me ask you some deep questions. Like, what made you do film? What pulled you in?" And I'm like, "Well, you know, I wanted to be an actor at first, blah, 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 blah." And he's like, "What's your proudest work?" And I'm like, "Well, my most recent short film." And he's like, "Why?" And I'm like, "Oh, it's like personal and experimental and artsy." And he's like, "Oh, I like that stuff. You know, I like impressionistic stuff." So he's a dancer from Kaufman, But he's in the Ghent school, which I think is like the school of like interactive media, so like AR, VR, stuff like that, coding, like art coding, that's what he calls it. And then he also composes music at the same time. So, and then we exchange Instagrams. He knows Claire, he knows Mitchell. Apparently Mitchell works for him. And I'm like, yeah, Mitchell is literally everywhere, so thank you. No, thank you. Like, yeah, great. And then I called a lift and went back home. So, tonight and tomorrow. So, tomorrow is going to be slightly intriguing because tomorrow is Lunar New Year. And I want to have a good meal. I don't want to celebrate Lunar New Year all by myself. I've done that 3 times already. Not planning to do it for the 4th time. My mom's friend, who I saw at Seattle, wants me to go to her place to have hot pot dinner. But the issue is that she lives in Arcadia. That's fucking insanely far away. So, we talked a little bit. I was like, okay, what if I take a train to Union Station or maybe Monterey Park and then you pick me up from there? So it's like half and half. And she's still like, that's still kind of far from me. And I'm like, well, the farthest I can go is Cal State LA. When Hong picked me up to watch Where the Wind Blows 2 years ago, I did the same thing. I went to Cal State LA and then he picked me up from Cal State LA and drove me to Monterey Park. But now we have Arcadia, which is even farther away. And then I heard this woman whom I haven't seen in so many years, but I don't even know what's her relationship with my mom's friend. But this woman is like way younger, like maybe a very young cousin or like a niece or something like that. She started talking to me and she's like, how about you go to Arcadia directly? And I'm like, but it's 2 hours. And then she explained, well, we also have to buy groceries and buy food and stuff, and it would be better if you would just go to Arcadia directly and we just pick you up from there, So I'm like, fine, I'll take a train tomorrow for 2 hours. I'll take a bus and train combined for 2 hours tomorrow. 2 hours of that. I hate wasting time, but you know what? Screw it. I'll do that. I'll do that shit right now. 2 hours. So that's the plan. Tomorrow I'm going to do religion class. I'll come home. I'll rest a little bit. I'll go out for 2 hours. And yeah, that's the plan. And then she knows this friend who's an Uber driver, and she's going to drive me back. So yeah. So I'm excited for tomorrow. I don't know what to eat for tonight. I have steak. The thing is, like, if I don't eat steak tonight, then I'll eat it Wednesday night, which by then maybe it'll go bad. So I kind of have to do it tonight. I'm left with no choice. And, yeah. And then tomorrow lunch will be lasagna. So yeah, steak, potatoes, and salad kit. That's for tonight. Yeah, not much else to say. Patrick suddenly asked me how I'm doing. He's like, oh, I suddenly thought of you. What are your thoughts on llamas? I don't know why he's asking me about llamas, but sure. I love them. And I don't know. I still want to talk to Jian. She's such a problem, man. She's such a freaking problem. Like, the thing is, I don't even know her. But like I got a little intrigued because she was so socially aggressive with me. And the truth is, I am not even remotely interested in anyone else at USC. She is the only person who remotely interests me for a teeny tiny bit. I think Katie is another person that is somewhat interesting, but like Katie's also a really normal, easy person, which is fine, but like Leslie's fucking insane, but that's like part of her charm, I don't know. And I don't have that much else to add, honestly. I am finally depositing money from the checks I received from ALI to my bank account. So, tush money. Yeah.
Okay, time now is 11:16 a.m. in the morning on January 28th. Yeah, I slept from 5:10-ish till 11, so a bit less than 6 hours. Not that great, honestly, and I hate that I never have enough time to sleep. And last night, I ran out of time again, as I always do every single day. I don't know why, but yesterday, time just moved so fast. I edited an album review, and and it's already like 2 a.m., and I'm like, fuck. I still plan to watch The Fly and some anime episodes. So I didn't watch The Fly. Instead, I watched one episode of anime, and then that's it. So that's unfortunate. That's silly. I wish I have more time. But the good thing is, in the coming few weeks, I don't even need to take RIT 340 because it's like conference day. So for 3 classes for RIT 340, I don't even need to show up. So that's fucking amazing. Last night I found out that apparently 5 days ago, I received an email about the Cannes Film Festival, about Cannes Classics, applying to Cannes Film Festival. So, holy shit, I am gonna apply. The deadline is February 7th, about 1.5 weeks from now, so there's no time to waste. I need to start writing the reviews, I need to start writing the cover letter. I need to get to Cannes, okay? I need to get to Cannes. So, I'm gonna do that. Um, I don't know, I was brainstorming. I'm writing about Uncle Boomy who calls past lives, but I want to write an artsy French film, but the thing is, if I only recently seen the artsy French film and then decide to write on it, maybe it's not enough. So, I don't know. I want to write Persona, but I'm gonna see Celine and Julie go boating a few days later. If that film surprises me, I'm gonna go with that one instead. So, we'll see. Um, Yeah, I wanted to do a David Lynch one, like Mulholland Drive or maybe Blue Velvet, but then I realized a lot of people who are applying will probably write a David Lynch one in tribute. But I wish I could write about Inland Empire. I wish I could write about the end of Evangelion, honestly. Okay, so there's that. So today I'm doing religion class. I'm missing the bus, definitely. So, um, I'm gonna walk again because fuck it. I'm gonna go religion class. I'm gonna come back home and then rest a little bit, have a lasagna, and then I'll leave. I'll take 2 hours of train later, and yeah, I'll be taking a 2 hour long train ride all the way to fucking Arcadia. So that's gonna be exciting. Oh, I need to activate my card, my transportation card. I need that. Yeah. So I'm taking a train to Arcadia just to have hot pot with my mom's friend, etc. So hopefully that's fun. And then tomorrow is gonna be a long ass day again. So much shit is happening. It's crazy. Yeah, I just wish I have more time to do things. I just really wish I have more time because I barely have enough time. The round 5 video I filmed literally weeks ago, I still haven't finished editing maybe 10% of it. Like, it's just too much stuff is going on. Too much. I don't even have time to make YouTube videos anymore. Yeah. It's so cold. I had a dream. I was on a film set, but a film class is happening, like a CAMS class, but I refused to go. And I emailed the professor, and the professor's super rude. Yeah. Yeah.
And then this is a crazy DC pen. This is to show.
Fuck you. Fuck you, not again. Fuck you, bus. Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck. Oh! No. No, 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 no. Don't do this to me. No, no, no. Oh, 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 oh. Sheebar. Okay, fuck. I'm so confused. Fuck, what is J? Is that it? I guess this is El Monte. I screamed on top of my lungs. I was like, bus! Bus! And people were laughing at me. Yeah. Welcome to Los Angeles fucking less men to fucka. El Monte. El Monte. Okay. Holy testicles, it's cold. Holy testicles, I'm in the middle of nowhere. Okay, bus 268, show thyself. Bus 268. There's no bus 268 here. Shit. What is this? What? I don't get it. Oh, there it is. 269? Ah, 268. Platform 10. Platform 10. Lower level. Got it. Under me. Okay. Ten. Welcome to Arcadia. Frick indeed. Frick indeed.
極限啊！我可以再揸車嘅。
哦，頭先個阿婆出嚟食煙冇嘅，
我知我知㗎，行路
呢度大把
因為羊肉好快熟啊，好快熟啊！你咁樣掉落去咧，邊個想食自己放可能會好啲啊。
跟住裏邊就係一個摩，個摩裏邊就係嗰個Ranch 99。就買餸咯。
嚇？你肯定佢係？你肯定嗰個超市係仲開？
我查咗佢係10點關，唔知佢係唔係關咗呢邊嘅門，不過嗰個門關。
入邊。哇！真係有。
佢仲
Oh, time now is 12:36 after midnight, and let's talk about today. Yeah, another long ass day for no reason. I woke up and I walked to school again because I keep missing the bus. I realized that it's weird because my bus, like if I have to catch my bus, I need to leave my place at 11:45. I wake up at 11. Theoretically, if I immediately brush my teeth and immediately change my clothes, I can leave. But that's not what I want to do. I want to go back to sleep for 10 more minutes, and I want to change my room clothes first and eat a croissant before leaving. And that takes a way longer time. So, honestly, in the future, I should wake up even earlier so that I could give myself more time to chill in the morning. I think that's a good practice, which means I should sleep earlier as well. So yeah, I went to religion class. I was late for 2 minutes, and it was cold as fuck. And by the time I arrived at religion class, I was already sweating because I'm walking so much. I realized that I'm actually losing a lot of weight by just walking a lot. Walking excessively. But anyways, today's religion class is really interesting. We talked about the Book of Change, I Ching, and hexagrams, and they're really interesting. And again, I sat at the very front where I'm with 3 other Chinese guys with glasses, and I realized that by this moment, we have almost formed a little clique, because the other rows of seats do not feature that many Chinese guys with glasses. So yeah, and then we had to do a little group discussion thing where we had to figure out like what certain passages from the I Ching really means, and that's pretty cool. And then and then at the very end of the class, I walked up to the professor. I actually wanted to ask her about like how did she find out about my short films, but I was like, yeah, that's a dumb question. So instead I asked, what's the difference between layer 1 and 2 in I Ching? And she doesn't even know. She's like, don't ask me. I'm not an expert in this field. My focus is 20th century Buddhism, not super old Taoism. So I have no idea. And then I was like, oh, by the way, I saw that you graded me and you said you watched my short film? How? And then the professor was like, oh, I just Googled it. And I'm like, what? And then she said, oh yeah, it's really weird. It's like psychotic, but it's good. You know, it's a good thing that it's weird. And I'm like, okay. And so the other guys, they were like, oh, what's the name of your short film? So yeah, But yeah, she just Googled it. Now I'm scared. My stuff is open for the rest of the world to be seen. So, yeah, and then I thought about going to the bookstore to grab my textbook because I rented it, and then I realized that turns out the book is actually available if you pirate it. But when I searched it up on that website, it didn't show up, so I automatically thought renting it is the only way. Turns out it's actually available to be pirated, it's just under a different name. So I fucked up. And of course, the Chinese guy I was talking to knows about the website because, like, if you're Chinese, you automatically know, like, loopholes to everything, of course. But yeah, so I just directly went back home and I chilled a bit. I ate lasagna, I watched some anime, and then at 4:30-ish I left. So I was expecting about 2 hours to get to Arcadia, and yeah, that became 2 hours and 40 minutes. So this really fucking sucked balls, by the way. Really, really sucked. So so for me to get to Arcadia from USC, I need to take a bus, and then a train, and then another bus. There is an Arcadia station, but my mom's friends, the woman, the Chinese woman, the young woman, the Chinese lady, like, how should I even describe her? She told me to go to this specific bus stop, and I'm like, what? And that is so complicated. And the thing with LA public transportation is that the moment you miss one bus, suddenly your entire route changes. So I have my transit app, and it's like, you can, like, say you take bus A, Metro B, bus C. If you miss bus A, and you have to take the next bus A, then maybe you'll have to take Metro D instead of Metro B, because suddenly Metro D would be a faster route, but that would go to another direction, so the next bus would also change. So it's ever changing, so it's not like in Hong Kong where you're like, yep, that's the fastest route, I'll just go this route. In LA, it constantly changes. So I wanted to take bus 38, and of course, as expected, every fucking time the bus just went right past my fucking face. Every time. It's the fourth time this had happened, I feel like, in the last few days. It's so frustrating, so I'm like, well, fuck. But no worries, because I can take bus 37. I just need to walk a few more minutes. So I went to bus 37, the bus immediately came, and it took me to a metro station. Except I've never been to that metro station. It's like the metro station that is north of USC, and I've never been there, and I was really confused. I'm like, where is it? And also, it's telling me to take line J instead of line A, because J is faster. Also, if I take line A, I have to take an Arcadia Blue bus, and my USC transportation tap card does not cover the freaking Arcadia Blue bus, because why the fuck would I ever go to Arcadia? So I decided to go with line J, and I'm like, that's a little weird, because on the map it shows that J, the bus, spoiler alert, the stop for J, the train stop for J, is different from the other train stops, which are obviously right there. So, no, at first I followed my map, and I'm like, this doesn't feel like a train stop. That's the train stop. So I went to the train stop, and I'm like, hold on. What if this is one of those weird, stupid things where line J is actually not a train, but it's actually a bus? And then I looked at my map, I looked at Google Map, and I looked at a real map, and I'm like, holy shit, it is a bus stop. And then so at that point, the bus is coming in 1 minute. So by the way, when I arrived at the train station, when I arrived at that weird fucking place, I missed a J, and then I was gonna catch an A. But then I realized if I want to catch train A, that's also the wrong train stop. I have to walk maybe 10 more minutes closer towards downtown and catch train A. And I don't want to do that. So I decided to wait for the next J, and then I found out that the J is actually a bus. I ran to that bus stop, and I ran again. Every fucking bus I have to run for it. So I ran, and the bus was moving, and I'm like, no, fuck no, not again. So the bus dropped off someone, and the bus started moving, and I was literally behind it, and I ran super fast. I was like Tom Cruise. It was just adrenaline pumping. You know, when I ran for bus 38, I was like running like in a regulated way. But when I was running after bus J, I was speeding ahead. And I was like, bus J! And I was screaming so that maybe the bus driver would hear me. So I was like, bus! Bus! Bus J! Bus J! And miraculously, the bus driver heard me. It stopped, and I tapped my card, and I went in. And I think some people were laughing at me. I don't know if they were laughing at me, but they were laughing at me. So I sat down, and thank God I hopped on the bus J. So my arrival time, my ETA for Arcadia went from like 6:30 6:30 to 6:50, and then now it's 7:20. It's so crazy. So I went on bus J, and it was speeding through freeway, and it arrived at El Monte. I think it's called El Monte, not El Monte. So El Monte, and I've never been there. It's this weird, like, train bus. Is this big bus terminal in the middle of nowhere. It's dark. It's cold. And I had about 10 minutes to figure out where to take my next bus, which is bus 286 or 268 to Arcadia. Turns out it's downstairs, so I went downstairs. This reminds me of the time I went to Mexico and I'm at this bus terminal and I have to figure out where it is. Like, it's so challenging. Like, I'm already really smart and alert. I don't want to brag, but I'm very alert of my surroundings and I always know where to go. I managed to find my way out of Shinjuku Station, the biggest and the busiest train station ever. But, like, this is somehow complicated as fuck. So imagine if it's not me. Imagine if it's like my mom or like my grandma doing this. It's gonna be crazy. But anyways, I found the underground bus terminal. Suddenly, an old woman with white hair and a cane was like, "Hey, do you know where is? Do you know when will bus 267 come?" And I'm like, no. And then she's like, "Can you check on your phone?" And I could immediately tell that's a Cantonese English accent. I could immediately tell. And then she's like, "Can you speak Spanish?" And I'm like, "No, but I can speak Cantonese." And then she's like, "Oh, so you speak Cantonese." So she starts talking to me in Cantonese, which is great. And I like that the moment I arrive in East LA, chances of me running into a Hong Konger is way higher. And then she was like, "Oh, I came to LA in 1966 and I was only 19 years old. And I've been here for 58 years. And I have 8 grandsons. And I just finished dinner with family and I need to go back home." And I was like, "Where?" And she's like, "Altadena." At first I'm like, what? And then I looked at the bus and I'm like, "Oh, Altadena." And then I was like, "How is the fire?" And she's like, "Oh, it's getting better now." But yeah, and we talked a little bit. She asked me to help her. Like, she can't walk too well, so I helped, like, hold her arm. And then we talked a little bit, and she's really friendly. Really lights up the moment I say I can speak Cantonese. Yeah, bilingual, man. Trilingual. Holy moly. Yeah, and then bus 268 came, and then she's like, "Yeah, nice to meet you, you know." And then that's it. So that was a nice random interaction. So I hopped into bus 268, and it took another 20 minutes or so to get from El Monte to Arcadia. And I finally arrived at this intersection in the middle of nowhere. And again, I'm in Arcadia, which is literally some random ass suburban place. And I look at the sky and it's pitch black, because it's not like Hong Kong where you look up and you see mountains and skyscrapers and whatever. And here you look up and it's pitch black. Like, you could be in the middle of nowhere, just an intersection with with a gas station, like, and a Chase bank. So I phone called the Chinese lady, and she's like, "Oh, I'm coming over." So she came over, picked me up, and I hopped into her car, and then in 2 minutes she arrived at my mom's friend's place. So this lady, I know who she is, but I kind of forgot that she existed. Let's be honest here. Because the last time I saw her was so long ago. And it was definitely before 2019. Because for some reason, my memories before 2019 is a blur. Like, yes, I did write diaries and film vlogs before 2019. But even so, if I have to recall what happened in 2019 and prior, it's like a blur. And I was like, my brain hasn't fully developed, so, like, things don't even feel real. Like, everything felt like a fever dream before 2019. And I'm sure in 2019 I didn't meet her because I don't know. I just didn't. And then, but like, come to think of it, yeah, there's this one young Chinese girl who is somehow related to my mom's Chinese friend. Maybe she's like a niece or something, like, or like a cousin or something. Like, I don't know. And then, yeah. And so it's really interesting, and I'm like a big guy now. I definitely look and act extremely differently from how I used to be. Like, even if you compare me in 2021 versus me now, we're still very different. Let alone me from 2018 versus me now. So, me and her were basically strangers again. So it was a little awkward at first. She talked to me like, wow, like why did it take so long for you to come here? And I'm like, oh, there's bus and then there's the metro situation. But it's like, I went into the house and the whole hot pot setup was already there. Lots of raw beef, raw lamb, lots of veggies. Big feast, man. Big freaking feast. And I was really, excited about it because I haven't had hot pot in quite a while. I just realized I did have hot pot in Seattle. That did indeed happen. But still, it's winter. I gotta have hot pot, man. So, yeah, at first it's like there isn't much to be said because I'm not that close with them. But my mom FaceTimed me and I saw my mom and my dad and my aunt and my paternal family and my brother, and we all said hi to each other. And then we began to feast and we ate a lot. Man, I was so full, but there's so much food. And it was nice. It was great that I'm able to eat all this stuff. Like, I ain't complaining. There's like Chinese, like, DJ, like 2000s Chinese core electronic music playing in the back, which is super corny, but it really fits the vibe. And it's interesting because it's more of a Chinese household than a Hong Kong household, well, obviously, because all of them are Chinese and not Hong Kongers, but they also speak Cantonese, but not exactly not Hong Kong Cantonese. They say things like Guanmun instead of Sanmun, which means closing the door. They say things like Bingseng instead of Suguai, which means fridge. They said 早課, like early class. Like, my mom's friend asked me if I have an early class tomorrow, and 早課, which is like, But it's interesting. And then, yeah, this lady, she, like, I vaguely remember her existence, but I don't even remember her face. But I saw her and I'm like, yeah, I think I recognize her. But she looks like Zhang Ziyi, who is this very famous actress. She looks like Zhang Ziyi. She's actually really, and I mean this in an objective way, she is like, and I can see why, she goes on to Xiaohongshu and Chinese TikTok and films herself a lot. But she does have that very cutesy, innocent face. But she's really bubbly. She's kind of fun, and she's kind of like, she sings songs and stuff. But yeah, it's been nearly a decade since I've seen her, maybe. Or at least 7 to 8 years. But yeah, we had more and more food, and then at some point, we were talking about how, what would be great? Tongyun, like sweet dumplings, souplings. And then I was like, yeah, it's been a while since I've had them. And yeah, I just remembered that in Seattle I actually had them. So she was like, you know what, let's go. Like, the lady, she's like, you know what, let's go. The supermarket is like 5 minutes away. And I'm like, really? And then so we left. So she drove me and we went to a supermarket, 99 Ranch, to buy a couple packs of frozen dumplings, I went back home and we immediately boiled it up and ate it. And it's pretty good, but it's not as good as the ones my grandma makes with the soup. But yeah, it was brief. Surprisingly, we didn't talk a lot. It's not that it's awkward, it's just that we didn't have a lot of things to say. But usually people have a lot of things to say. Or maybe it's because they don't expect me to be talkative, and I wasn't that talkative, but I was definitely 100 times more talkative than how I used to be in 2017 or 2018, you know. But yeah. And then at around 10:30 or 10:45-ish, a guy drove me home. It's an Uber driver who is friends with my mom's friend, and he drove me home, and he's from Hong Kong too, and in the car he asked me, what's your major, blah, 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 and he's like, wow, you know, he never explicitly talked about his politics, but he's like, you know, 為香港爭光, like, fight for glory for Hong Kong, which sounds really dramatic, but it really isn't. But yeah, you know, he's like, wow, you're like the first film major I've met, because like every college student he's driven are like IT and engineering and business, but I'm like actually, you know, film because it's my passion. So yeah, that's pretty much it for today. I don't have a lot else to say. Tomorrow's gonna be an embarrassingly long day, by the way. Tomorrow's gonna be so long, it's gonna rip my soul apart into a million pieces, because we have CTCS 192 discussion, and then an hour break, I'll grab lunch, and then it'll be a RIT 340, and then it'll be the SDA mixer, which I'm low-key excited about, even though it's probably cringe shit, but I'm going. And then tomorrow night it's gonna be 290 again, where I'm gonna edit the freaking project. And then yeah, that's pretty much it. I also DM Mitchell about finding actors and an actress for my first project. And I told Mitchell my idea. And Mitchell's like, oh, I know someone who can do that. And he sends me this white girl who's a freshman. And he's like, it's a freshman because, you know, I feel like bigger actors, more experienced actors, like they're more for 310s and 480s. So yes, I get it. I'm in a low level class and I need low level actors because I'm dumb or whatever. But yeah, I low-key wish, in the last couple of days I had a thought, and that is, I should try acting, and not only just like silly little acting, but like acting in a 310. Especially if it's like a psychotic role. Like, I just want to randomly show up and act. Because David Lynch acts sometimes, and then David Cronenberg acts sometimes, and I'm like, I think directors should randomly act sometimes. Like, Scorsese acts, like, even in cameos, but like, you know, act in other people's films. Like, I want to do that. So, yeah, I want to try that. And it's so cool too, because if I act, I get to show another side of me. Because the thing is, like, when I talk to people, I'm always this soft-spoken, you know, safe, quiet kind of guy. But the thing is, that's not really the full me. Like, I can go really crazy. I can do really crazy things. So, yeah. Anyways. Yeah, thinking about Jiayun again. I don't know. I just I remember Leslie and how I keep fantasizing doing things with her. Like, we get lost in the middle of the city, we watch a film together, I cook for her, and even the small things, like I found a funny picture of a cat and I show it to her and then we talk. Or I talk about, like, I don't know, owls and how much I love owls. You know, just small interactions like that. And it's so wholesome. And I'm like, why can't I do that with someone? Like, I don't know. But, like, I don't feel that way with Jiayun. But I do want to know her a bit better. But I feel like if I have to really like someone in a romantic way, I would have to experience something first. And I honestly haven't experienced anything with anyone. And yeah. So I don't know. I really don't. But yeah, I'm excited for the Cannes Film application. I started writing my review, and it's a bit daunting because I've written countless reviews, I've filmed countless reviews, but I feel like they're not professional at all. Like, I don't know how to actually write a good film piece. I don't know. Yeah, got to sleep early anyways.
Okay, time now is 10:49 a.m. in the morning on January 29th. Yes. Yeah. Slept from 4:50 to 10:45, but I didn't immediately fall asleep. And also at some point I went upstairs to turn off the heater, so less than that. So yeah, less than 6 hours. Not cool. Yeah, I don't know why. Last night, again, I ran out of time. I couldn't finish The Fly. I couldn't finish editing my round 5 video. I couldn't do a lot of things. I am seriously lacking time. And today's gonna suck because today's gonna be a really long day. I have CTCS 192 discussion, and then I have my RIS 340 class, and then I have the STA SDA mixer, and then I have the 290 class. So pretty much I won't return home until 10 p.m. So this is gonna suck. So I won't have a lot of time today either. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the mixer at least. I hope it's good. I hope I meet some people. Yeah, I'm really tired. Oh my god. I don't know. I don't know. Fuck. I bought a Blu-ray yesterday again. Biozombie. Only $23, so that's good. But $23 is still a lot, considering that a Criterion is actually $20 during the sale. Yeah, that's it. That's all. I don't have a lot else to say. Cannes Film Festival application. Yeah. Script for 290. That's all in my head right now. What the fuck?
What the hell? Whoa.
I want to get to this cut point, like exactly here, to be able to like splice in this section that I have marked in a marked out. So I can try to use my mouse so that it gets to the very first frame, but because I had some coffee earlier today, I'm like a little shaky, you know? So it's not 3, 2, 1, there you go. So as you can see, like I'm going to make it a little more extreme. So when I splice in, you will see how this duration, the length, is going to become longer because it's an addition, as I told you. So it's pushing the other clips to the right. This is ready for exporting. I'm very happy with it. I'm actually gonna make it a little louder. Okay, how do we export? The fastest way to export is to right click on the actual edit monitor.
Oh, it's 9:32 p.m. right now, and I have just returned home. I'm in my street clothes again, and you know I'm trying to do a British accent, maybe just for the first couple of minutes, the first 2 minutes or so of this video, because I need to practice my British accent for the act of terrorism which I would be committing this Saturday. But anyways, today I woke up and I felt like shit. I felt like absolute shit, as expected. And I just cannot catch a break, can I? Last time I slept, like, full on sleeping, full natural sleep, probably 2 weeks ago, and I can feel my brain deteriorating. It's terrible. So I don't know what to make of that, honestly. But I woke up, I changed my clothes. I changed my clothes, and I grabbed 2 cookies, wrapped them up in paper towel, and walked all the way over to the bus stop, and I got onto the bus right on time, and it was fine. I didn't have to run, I didn't have to scream, so that was a good sign. A little bit later, I arrived on campus and thus began my extremely long day at USC. So my first stop is at the bookstore, and the thing is, I wanted to buy 2 blue books because I needed to use blue books for my writing 340 class. So I thought to myself, might as well get the blue books since I have written 340 later today. Later today, I have a writing class. And the other issue is with my religion textbook, which is a bit of a pickle, and I will switch to American again. So yeah, about a week ago, actually more than a week ago, I spent $22 online to rent a religion textbook. It's used and it's only rent. And if I had to buy one, it would be $50-something. So fuck no. So it's the cheapest option I could get. And then yesterday, a classmate in my religion class told me, hey, the religion textbook is actually available on LibGen. It's just that you can't find it because it's under a different name. And then yesterday night, I found out about that book. So that book exists, and all the pages, they all line up. It's the right edition, everything. So I'm like, well, fuck, I guess I have to return it then. I'm going to ask for a refund. So I went downstairs to the textbook dungeon, and there's this guy sitting behind a computer, and holy fucking testicles, holy fucking ovaries, man. He's the stingiest guy ever. Stingiest librarian ever. I was like, hey, I'm going to ask you a couple of questions, and he's like, okay. So I have this religion textbook, I rented it, but I don't need it anymore, can I have a refund? And he's like, why? And I'm like, oh no, just I just don't need it anymore. Like I rented it. I didn't pick it up yet. I rented it a week ago. I realized I don't need it. And he's like, okay, but you're gonna have to ask your professor to write an email to confirm. And I'm like, okay, but, and then he's like, why? Like, what's the reason? Why do you not need it? Isn't the book necessary? And I'm like, oh, well, you know, I just got the ebook version of it, the PDF. And then he's like, an ebook version? For which class? And I'm like, Chinese religion? And he's like, I have to report this because it's a copyright violation. Are you fucking out of your mind, dude? It's a book. Knowledge is free for all. So I'm like, oh no, it's just the first couple of chapters. And he's like, okay, have you picked it up? And I'm like, no. And he's like, oh, you haven't picked it up. I see. So, okay, give me your order number. I'll process it and I'll process a refund for you. And I'm like, okay, thank you. So I left. But it felt weird. I don't want the professor of this class to be screwed over because of me. But then again, this is just some random librarian guy who doesn't really have much to do anyways. He's paying minimum wage. I hope, like, why be bothered about this whole issue? I feel like it's a him problem. I feel like if I got another younger and more understanding librarian, this wouldn't have happened. So I hope nothing bad happens. I hope everything is all right. But yeah, I hope I get the money back and the professor's not, nothing bad happens. So yeah, so I have about 10-ish minutes left. I walked all the way back to SCA 3rd floor, sat down, I ate 2 cookies. I went downstairs and I went to CTCS 192 discussion, and I didn't say much. It's kind of boring. I even spent some time watching short films last night because I thought we would be discussing these shorts today, but nope. So yeah, we just talked a little bit about racial formation and racism, and then some guy in the back started talking about Emilia Perez. So suddenly the whole class is a discussion about Emilia Perez, and multiple classmates are talking about how bad it is, the singing is bad, the director didn't do any research on Mexico, and is very overblown. Like the director, sure, the director shouldn't have not done any research, but the way my classmates are framing it, it's like, oh, and the director in an interview, he's like, nah, I don't want to do any research. And apparently, like, the film is anti-trans. It's not really anti-trans. It's a poor representation of trans, but it's not anti-trans. But yeah, I raised my hand and I said, oh, apparently this director likes writing stories about ethnic minorities, which is true, which is really funny. So that's funny. I left. I waited for Rachel, and then now it's lunchtime. We have about an hour, and Rachel's like, oh, let's go to one of those food trucks at McCarthy Quad and have lunch there. And I'm like, sure. I was going to get to USC Village, but, food truck sounds good. So we walked all the way to McCarthy Quad, and there were several stalls. Man, USC is such a rich place. There's, like, Thai food. There is Salvadorian food, actually. Pampusas. Michelle would be happy. And then there's Spam Musubi, and Rachel's like, oh, I want to get the Spam Musubi. And I'm like, I don't want to eat Spam, but they do have a chicken option. And I was kind of full because of last night's food, and then after eating the 2 cookies today, my belly isn't feeling so good. My belly's not feeling so good. I'm gonna be honest here. So we went for Spam Musubi. I got 2 chicken musubis, and it's already like $13.50. And it's just wrapped in cling wrap, like plastic wrap, and I got a habanero sauce, and that's it. It's pretty lame for $13. This is pretty lame. But yeah, and then we found, like, Rachel's so clumsy. Like, every time I meet her, she gets clumsier and clumsier, because she's like, oh, I can't find a seat. She started walking around, and she's like, I can't find a seat, and I'm like, just go to DMC, and she's like, where's DMC? And I'm like, what? So I took her to DMC. There are some nice little round tables under the shade. We sat down and we started eating. And before I started eating, stomachache strikes. It was painful. It hurt. Okay, it hurt. I was like, oh, I don't feel so well. I ate it up anyways. I really wanted to just go home and go to the bathroom, but I have the writing class. So, yeah, it was bad, but I thought to myself, okay, if I like focus on something else, if I rest a little bit, if I calm myself down, the pain will go away. And it did. It was partially gone. It was less painful now. I ate the chicken musubi. It was fine. The chicken tastes good, but I wouldn't eat it like that, I guess. It's the first time I've had like a musubi, by the way. So, afterwards, I walked to GSF for 340. I was early as hell, and I sat down, and I'm not feeling comfortable, man. My belly's hurting. And the funny thing is, so there's this person, their name is Billy, and it's their birthday today. They turned 21, and they brought a bunch of donuts. It's like, oh, donuts for all. And I'm like, oh, thank you, wow. So that's really nice. But more food, I just had lunch, I have a stomachache, more food, but it's also donut, and I don't want to miss out on some good donuts. So I'm like, okay, thank you. So I got a donut. And I didn't eat it until maybe half an hour into the class. But yeah, today's class is basically chill. Nothing happened again. We just talk, we just yap. We just spend half the class talking about ideas. At some point, Portia, the girl from CAMS, Portia with the red hair, she talked about her essay idea, and it's about how ambiguous art people don't have to know the art maker's intent in order to enjoy ambiguous art, which I wholeheartedly agree. As a film person, as a person who loves experimental films, 100%. And so people started talking. There are two people who are the most talkative. One is Carden, whom I met, a couple days ago. One is Billy, and they just go back and forth and they talk. And I raised my hand and I said, oh, one of my favorite filmmakers just passed away recently. And Portia was like, David Lynch. And I'm like, yep. And, he said, people shouldn't demand an explanation for his films. Just interpret it on your own. That's what's so great about his films. So, yeah. And then the class ends. We left. Oh, we had a little writing exercise. Within a short 15 minutes, I wrote a whole page of words on a blue book. And I thought it was pretty well done, actually. So, yeah. And then I left, and holy shit, my belly is hurting. It was really bad, and I can't take it. I was like, okay, there's the SCA/SDA mixer at 4 p.m., and right now it's 3:20. There are 40 minutes. If I go home and go to the bathroom and come back, maybe I'm going to miss out a bunch. Maybe it's worth it. You know what? Fuck it. I'll go home. So I started I looked at the transit app to see when is the fastest bus. Yeah, I kept loading it because I'm desperate. Turns out I have to wait 20-something minutes for the next bus. So I'm like, fuck you, I'll walk back. And it was so bad. You have stomachache and you still have to walk. And you're carrying a heavy backpack with you. So I walked and walked and walked. I listened to music. I returned home. I went to the bathroom. I walked so fast. I guess I didn't realize how fast I walked, but it took me about 15 minutes to get from school back home, which is crazy. And then I speed ran the whole process of going to the bathroom and taking a shower. Speed ran the whole thing. I think I did that within 40 minutes, which is record speed. And then, and then I immediately changed my clothes and I left, and I couldn't catch the 4:10 bus. I don't know what, it's more like 4:15 bus. So I walked again. So I walked 20 minutes from 4:20 to 4:45 all the way back to the little fountain area outside of the Norris Theater and Bing Theater. And there's a lot of people there. And I was a little bit scared at first because it was socialization. But thankfully, a bunch of people I know showed up. Rachel's there. I immediately spotted Jacob with the mushroom hair. Yeah, that's how I'm gonna call him from here on out. Jacob with the mushroom hair. I also found Kaylin, and turns out Vivienne, she's here as well, which is great. Talk with her a little bit. And then, I also found Pau, this Spanish guy who was in my 300 class 2 semesters ago, and we've been seeing each other, like, we've been, we walk past each other a little here and there. And apparently he's also taking 290 with Jacob, who's also taking 290. So that's kind of fun. But yeah, all the important people did not show up. Mitchell said he would. Turns out he didn't. Jia-yun, of course, did not. Jia-yun's a bit elusive, man. She's not nowhere to be found. So, I don't know. I don't know. But at least there's free food. So I had some salad. I had some chicken pasta, like penne pasta, which is crazy. I had lunch. I had now this. It's crazy how much food I'm eating suddenly. So, yeah. And then I talked, and I ended up talking, and I ended up exchanging Instagrams with a few people, but none of them are of use to me. Turns out this is a terrible place to meet actors. At the end of the day, it's not really that great. And it's so funny because like all the SDA people have red name tags, and all the SCA people have blue name tags. But all the blue tags are hanging out with each other. All the red tags are hanging out with each other. So it's not a mixer, isn't it? We're not mixed. But yeah, I ended up talking to like Kaylin and Vivienne. I told them what I'm trying to do, and they were like, "Just socialize. Why are you scared?" And I'm like, "Fine." So I talked to more people. I ended up talking to this Chinese guy, who is kind of tall and has glasses. Kind of looks like, somewhere between Glenn, not Glenn. Somewhere between Ken and Nathaniel, the guy who played the main character in Cloud Busting. And he's an MFA film production. He literally just came to USC 3 weeks ago, and he's into art house films. And I'm like, what are your favorites? And the first answer he gave was Api Chapon Vida Satako. And I'm like, oh, I was genuinely surprised. And I'm like, no way, he's one of my favorites. But turns out he's like really, really strictly art house. And he only likes him and Tsai Ming Liang and like very obscure, like The Sweet East and Andrea Arnold. And I told him, how about Wong Kar-wai? And he's like, oh, Wong Kar-wai is too commercial. Which is like, okay, I get it. A lot of people talk about him, but he is good. We changed Letterboxd and we changed Instagram, and I met 2 other MFA film production Chinese people. And we all speak in English, and Jacob is there too. But we all understand Mandarin, but they all still speak in English anyways. And then, it's funny because I see these MFA freshmen and I'm like, you might be younger than me. Because I'm 2 years older than my cohort, so you might be younger than me. Anyways, I gotta call Retablo, so I'll end this fast. So we went to the dungeon to continue the editing class, and boy did I fall asleep. I was drifting, I was dozing off, but I didn't miss out on anything. I kept editing, and it was shit. The software is bad. It's archaic, it's old, and I can't do, like, I all the time I was just like, if I'm using my own laptop and I'm using Premiere Pro, I can do all these crazy things. I can change the color, I can add caption and graphics, I can do crazy sound design changes, whatever. I can do aspect ratio. I can't do shit here. So I know I'm not well versed in Avid, but still Premiere Pro is where I'm at. So yeah, I took a peek at what other people are doing. It seems like most other people's shorts are poorly shot. The guys, Andrew Wu sat next to me, and he's very like, he's actually like seriously editing it. It doesn't look good. And then Rachel's was actually not like, it doesn't look that bad in comparison, but it's like, whatever. Cole Kim, this guy who like, this big Korean American guy with a deep voice who's always like talking, Like, he's apparently well versed with Avid, so he finished his thing and he did color grading, and he's just looking at Pokemon videos. But the short film he shot is so overexposed, and he managed to bring down the exposure overall, but you can still tell it's overexposed. It's clipped. I took a peek at Cheyenne's project. She filmed it at a dorm, at some nice bedroom, which is, you know, a little off the beaten path, but still a little middle of the road. You know, off the beaten path, middle of the road. But I'm interested in seeing her 2 projects. I hope they are the most fucked up, bloody, violent things I'll ever see in USC history. I hope she pops the fuck off with these short films. I hope she does. I hope she succeeds, and I want to see chaos. Not from me, but from her. So, yeah. So, yeah, and then nothing else happened. I ran into Calyx again after class. And I think I ran into another person at some point, but, yeah. Like, during lunchtime, I think, when I was lining up to get this, at the Thai food truck, or, like, the Thai food stall, I think I saw Carter, the guy from art history. And then at some point, I saw some 310 people from last semester, and, like, just, we're all connected. But yeah, free to lift back home. Some frat boys, some white-ass frat boys were in the car when I free lifted home. And they were talking about, ooh, I bet he banged the shit out of her. But, you know, she's so pretty. She's in my top 3, man. I want to hit it. Dude, no fucking way. Who's your top 3? Here's number 1. Here's number 2. And I'm just like, wow, real people do talk like that. That's crazy. You have to have a brain of a goldfish. But yeah, I don't really have much else to add. The boss of HKOS texted me on Telegram telling me, you know, let's talk. Tell me your thoughts. Happy New Year. So I'm looking forward to that. And Vivienne is recommending another actress to me. So yeah, maybe, I don't know. So, So yeah, that's that. Okay, I need to make dinner now. Gonna be simple because I already had some food. Gonna be rice, a little bit of pork belly, kimchi, marinated bean sprouts, easy peas.